Hi guys, this is Carissa with Thank You Fairy Designs. For the CardMaker blog today, we have a really fun blog hop for you featuring the Distress Crayons by Tim Holtz. And I'm going to show you how I made these two cards using a couple different techniques that I learned while playing with this fun new medium. Now, Ranger was kind enough to send each of us a set of Distress Crayons. I got this one, which is set 2, and it has a lot of the fun colors that you're used to in the Distress line. I started with a piece of hot pressed watercolor paper, and I'm adding some stamping to the background just to kind of add some interest. And now I'm going in with a heavy gesso to create some texture. Once that was all dry, I wet my paper, and now I'm going to go in and start scribbling some color with the Distress crayons. These are super smooth and creamy. I like going on a wet surface because I feel like it starts to move and blend more. And then I went in with a water brush and moved that color around and mixed the colors together and blended them even more. So once I was done with this and I dried it, I decided I wanted to do another one. So I'm starting it off just the same way on hot pressed watercolor paper with a little bit of stamping in the background and some heavy gesso. Now I'm going in with the distress cans and I'm adding some water to my paper and adding some more color and blending it again with my water brush and just really getting those colors to mix and blend together. And then I decided to add some more water and really let the drips kind of move on the page and just blend. And now I'm going to dry that, and I decided to do the same thing with my first card. So I wet it and added some more color and blended it a little bit with my fingers, and then I'm going to go ahead and add some more water and just kind of move it and let those colors blend together. So once those are both all dry, I'm going to go in and do some techniques on top. First, I pulled out some Distress ink in chipped sapphire, and I'm adding that just kind of with the blending tool on my cardstock over that Distress crayon. I'm going to take some water and sprinkle it on top because this is one of my favorite techniques with the Distress ink because the water reacts and kind of lifts that pigment up. But what was really cool is with the Distress crayons underneath, you can still see that they didn't lift as much as the Distress ink, and it left that color underneath. So it's a really cool layering technique. Now I'm coming in with some more Distress ink on that second card with Broken China and using it through a stencil. And then even though I heat set the Distress crayons earlier, I'm going in with another stencil and a baby wipe, and I'm able to lift off that color and get some more layering with another stencil. So that was really cool, and I just love the fun backgrounds of these cards. I'm going to go ahead and start assembling them. I die cut each panel and picked out some stamps, and now I'm using my Misty tool because of the texture of the gesso. I wanted to make sure if I needed to do multiple stamping that it would be in the exact perfect spot, and I'm glad I did because I ended up needing to do that with both the images and the sentiments that I ended up using. So I am using two different inks here as I do my stamping. So for the image, I'm using a pigment ink, VersaFine Onyx Black. And then for the sentiment, I'm using a dye ink by W+9 Pure Color. And I did that because I noticed with the pigment ink, it wasn't drying. It still had a glossy sheen, and I had a little bit of smearing issues. And so I thought, well, let me try it with a dye ink and see if that works better. It did dry better, but it still remained wet in certain areas, and I'm not sure why, but I have a fix, so I'll show you that later on in the video. So I'm just continuing to add my sentiments. I love the mix of these awesome Dina Wakley stamps with the W+9 bold sentiment, and just stamping that, getting it all lined up. And then, yeah, I was really happy that I pulled out the Misty because I ended up having to stamp multiple times, especially on the sentiments because they're super bold, and the texture of the gesso just wasn't giving me a good impression right off the bat. So here I'm going to go ahead and fix. I realized that, oh, not yet. I'm going to go ahead and adhere it. And this is where I realized that this ink was not drying because every time I pulled it up, I had to wipe my surface from the ink that was being left behind. And, but I just put some foam adhesives on the back of each of the panels and put them on the card. And now I'm taking some clear gesso and I'm just sprinkling it all over all of the stamping, and you can see the image was super wet, and you know, that embossing powder adhered to it right away. And then there were areas of the dye ink and the sentiment that were still wet, but not all of it. So that was a really easy fix, just so that I knew I wasn't going to smear it as I continued working on these cards. I'm adding some Wink of Stella onto both of the bold parts of the sentiments, just to kind of tie in, because the embossing didn't emboss the entire word, and so there was shiny in areas and flat in other, and I thought the clear glitter would tie it together, and it did. And then this is another thing that I've been doing a lot in my art journaling. If you follow my YouTube channel, you see this. I'm just outlining the bold words on each of the sentiment with a white gel pen. And that pretty much wraps up these cards. I kept them super simple because I love the mixed media background of these cards. And I really didn't think that it needed a whole lot more for these fun cards. So I hope you enjoyed this video and these two techniques that I shared using the distress crayons. I think they are a super fun medium to have, and I'm looking forward to using these techniques more in my mixed media and art journaling, but I think it was fun to use on these cards as well. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a thumbs up and subscribe so I know you want to see more videos like this one. For a full list of supplies and info on the blog hop, check out my blog. I'll see you next time.